All right. So today's material is understanding and releasing stress. And I wanted to first start out with this question of why are we starting with stress when we're talking about grief? So, and how does stress relate to grief? So in my mind, stress is sort of the first layer of what happens to us when we're living in the world. We get all this stress piled on. And when we take off that layer, underneath it, there might be trauma that's stuck underneath it. And then when we take off trauma, we have to accept that there's loss. And then what's left over beyond all that is grief. So I want to start with stress because I want to learn. I want all of us to have a little more tools in our toolbox, maybe, of how to release stress, and then heal trauma will be the next thing, and then accept loss. And then we can, whatever's left is going to be the grief. So as we start to get stress off, you might start to feel grief bubble up. And that's why we have our sacred container. So we'll start off talking about stress. So stress is necessary. We need stress to stand up and to move, to walk. We also can use stress as a motivator. So raise your hand if you can relate to this. I know that if I have a deadline, I will get something done. If I have that little bit of stress saying you have to get this done by a certain time or date, I will get this done. And yeah, some people, relate to this too. Yeah, okay. So stress is not a bad thing. It's necessary. And it also accumulates. So we live on a planet of 7.8 billion or so people, and each one of us is extremely complex. If you've heard me or Richard, or if you've studied psychosynthesis, you've heard us talk about the egg diagram or subpersonalities, which we'll get into probably next week. And the fact that we just have all these dichotomous ways of thinking and being and feelings, there's so much going on in each one of us, and we're in a crowded planet. We're on a crowded planet. And so that's going to bring up stress. And then we have this cumulative and intergenerational historical racialized trauma that is inside of all of us, whether we know it or not, that helps drive us and create the way that we interact with ourselves and with each other. And when I say interact with ourselves, we'll get into subpersonalities and you'll understand why I said that crazy little phrase. And then we're also affected by the collective unconscious. So right now, we're having a world pandemic with COVID-19. We are all feeling this, all of whatever's happening because of the pandemic. We're all feeling whatever's happening because of the environmental crisis that's happening around the world. And there's political divide in most places in the world, so I added that as an example. And we're all feeling this. We're all part of it. We're all immersed in the water. We're all like a glass, or holding a glass that's being filled up with stress all the time. It's just happening without us really realizing it. It keeps filling up every day, every moment. Things happen internally, externally, and we think that we got it. I got this. I can hold this. I can deal with this. And what's happening is it keeps filling up. It gets to the top of the glass. And all it takes is one little thing, and it feels like a traumatic stressor. And if you can relate to that, maybe you can raise your hand. Yeah. So this becomes this feeling of being overwhelmed, and we feel explosive. We get kicked into reactionary survival mode. And what happens is we have decreased ability to reason and think critically. And not only do we have a decreased ability to have good choices, but when we're kicked into survival mode, we don't even know that we have choices. The awareness of choice is gone. And you might be able to relate to that. Yeah? So Prevention doesn't mean that we can get rid of stress. Part of prevention is knowing that we have stress, knowing that it fills up all the time. And then learning how to manage that is the prevention. So learning how to pour out some stress or pour out the whole glass every day, and also move towards systemic change so that all of us have less stress, where we can make change politically, environmentally, where we can make change. So I just wanted to put in a little bit of, we're in week 1. So for the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about pouring out water, pouring out stress. And then week 4, we're going to move more into systemic change. Settling is not the same thing as healing. Healing is an important, settling is an all-important foundation for healing. A settled body invites and accepts efforts to mend it. An unsettled one tends to resist those efforts. So that's why we're starting with stress before we get to healing trauma. Resma Medicum. So how do we pour out stress? There's lots of ways to think about it. I've come up with a few different organizational ways to think about this, like moving stress out, pouring out that water of stress through the different bodies, through the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic bodies. In psychosynthesis, we talk about psychological functions. If you pick any one of those 6 points, it's a way to get inside and figure out, where am I at? What do I need to do now? So today, we're going to really concentrate on moving stress out through the physical body and using the psychological function of body sensation. So if you have a journal, I'm going to ask you to pull out your journal. I think somebody might have just left. I know Dan said that he was really tired, so he'll get this recording later. That's fine. You'll get this recording later, Dan. All right, so you can pull out your journal, and if you already have a page started about ways that you release stress, you can find that page, and if you don't, you can maybe start a header on a brand new page that says things that release stress or something like that. And today, really, we're going to concentrate on things that release stress through the physical body. So if you want to even just start your list, whatever comes to your mind, ways that you release stress through physical body ways. And then I'm going to go over some things that are on my list. This is my list, and I've organized it in body, mind, spirit. We're going to go over some things every single week. And this week, we're going to go over mostly the physical body and a couple of mind-body connectors. So you can, as we go along, you can jot things down that make sense to you, that feel like, yeah, I want to add this to my list. You may come up with things that are on your list that aren't on my list. And just keep jotting down things that help you to get stress out. And today, really focus on through your physical body. So if we look at the body sensation point of the psychological functions, we want to ask yourself right now, where do I feel stress in my body right now? And just notice. And then notice what it feels like. Might be different stress in different places. Just notice. And then you might want to start a different journal page that you can do later that asks the question, what is this stress telling me? For now, we'll come back to this. Don't worry, if you don't write it down now, it's fine. For now, we're going to really concentrate on moving it out. So Gabriel Roth said, the fastest way to still the mind is to move the body. So we want to ask ourselves the question, how can I move it out? Well, one way that I like to move out stress is to walk in nature. For me, I'm connecting to the earth. I'm connecting to that which is larger than myself. I'm breathing in fresh air. My lungs are expanding and contracting, and I'm getting exercise just by doing that. And I'm getting new breath and new orientation from new air. I am moving my physical body, and it's moving the stress around. And it also gives me time when I walk to process in my mind and work through things. So for me, walking in nature is a big one. Maybe it is for you too. Touch. Touch is a really big one for me. I was a massage therapist, and obviously I got into that trade because it meant a lot to me. It felt like there's nothing better than receiving and giving and releasing stress and making our way to sacred ground through touch. So right now we're going to experiment with touch as a way to release stress. So I want you to put your hands right on your face and feel the skin receiving the touch from your hands. And feel your hands giving the touch to your face. And maybe move your hands and give yourself a massage on your neck or your shoulders. And while you're doing this, moving around and squeezing and massaging, a little tapping, raindrops, giving some touch to your skin, to yourself. You might also want to put your hand on your chest and your other hand on your belly and feel your breath. And feel the warmth of your hand on your chest and your belly. Another way that I really like to touch is the reflexology. And reflexology is done in the ears. You can kind of just put your little finger or whatever in your ears, on your hands, and on your feet. And here's a reflexology chart for the foot. If you can reach and you want to, you can rub your feet. And while you're doing that, while you're touching yourself, Richard, would you talk to us a little bit about you and touch?
Just on the touch, are you talking specifically about the hands and the feet?
Well, I'm specifically talking about your hands because I want people to feel comfortable with you.
Sure. So just to introduce you to my relationship with touch. Back in February 2001, and this is something I mentioned in brief to Ali and Changul, I was out on Ben Nevis in Scotland, having a wonderful days climbing in the winter, and myself and a friend unfortunately took a tumble down the mountain, fell 800 feet. I managed to survive the fall, and I spent a very, very cold night in the mountain. As a consequence of that, I lost 75% of my fingers. So my right hand, well, that was exposed to minus 21 degrees Celsius. And during the fall, my right hand actually was caught and pulled off both sets of gloves. And my right hand clearly had both sets of gloves on, but the exposure and the stay on the mountain meant that I lost most of my capacity to touch and feel. Now, I'm grateful and glad that I still have what I have, but that sensation it's not as sharp or clear as it used to be. Clearly, when I had a full set of fingers. So when I come to touch, for example, I'm just going to touch my face. I really place my awareness into how I'm actually experiencing that. Yeah. Rather than just, okay, my hands are on my face. It's actually bringing my focus, my awareness to the act of touch. And what I have found is bringing my awareness to the simplest of acts, something like lifting a glass. Yeah. Bringing my awareness to that act, not just doing it out of habit. That brings you back into the moment. It brings me back into the moment. It makes me appreciate what I have. Yeah. Is that making sense, folks? Yeah. Just being present rather than doing things out of habit. Yeah. We have an amazing gift of awareness, of consciousness, this two-legged being called a human. Yeah. Should make use of it. So, cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, Richard. So as we continue to, at any time, touch yourself, I want to talk about sexual touch. Not that we're going to do that now, but later, maybe tonight, or maybe sometime this week, I invite you to have a date with yourself, have a romantic date, and explore sexual touch. Now, I want to bring up sexual touch because there's so much taboo about sex, right? There's a lot of taboo about sex. So I want to give you permission that if you touch yourself, you can feel that as pleasure. You can enjoy this moment, this ability to touch. And if you come to some kind of fruition, that is a great stress reliever. It brings intimacy, it brings joy, it brings release of stress. So I invite you and I give you permission to enjoy yourself sometime tonight or this week. And I want you to notice that in ancient times, some cultures, they had gods and goddesses that had many hands. Why do you think they had many hands? It's so they could touch themselves all over the place. Enjoy. Just saying. Another way that I like to release stress is through dance. And these are three kinds of dance modalities that I suggest because they're a little more freeing than something like ballet, which is fine-tuned and might give more stress. But these are really releasing kinds of dance modalities. So ecstatic dance, contact improv, and Gaga, not Lady Gaga, but a dance form called Gaga. And we're not going to dance right now, I'm sorry. We're not going to dance right now, but when you get these slides, after we're done, I'm going to send these slides out to you, and mostly the slides that are just things to do. I want you to notice that if you hover over the bottom of the slide, that's the way to start it. And that this slide on my left is an inspirational video. It shows people dancing, and it's Gabriel Roth talking through the process, but it's only the beginning. It's only the intro, the warm-up, and the flow. So there are 5 rhythms, and it only shows 2 of them. This, however, is an audio that has the whole thing, the warm-up, all 5 rhythms, and as you can see, it is about 31 and a half minutes long. So half an hour, basically. So when you get to this slide and you do this, I would suggest that you maybe turn on the inspirational video and turn the volume off, and then turn on the audio and let it run the whole time. That's my suggestion. And or you can try contact improv. Again, if you hover, you can see that's how to start the slide, how to start the video. And this one is 9.5 minutes long. So contact improv is something that usually you do with 2 or more people, but you can do contact improv with anything. You can do it with the floor, with the wall, with the couch, with anything, because it's really about communication through touch. And you can do that. I do that often, like in my bed or on the floor when I'm doing exercise. I make contact with the surface that I'm on and kind of roll around on it. Roll around on the surface. And this will help you to kind of free up that, what does that mean? How do I do it? This video will help you see that, even though it's with 2 people. And this is not a video, but if you hover over the picture, you'll see that you can click on it and get to the website where you can find out more about Gaga and look at some videos from the website about Gaga. So I'm just curious what a lot of people here, I'm sure, are dancers. I know a few of you who are. I'm just curious what your dance preference is. So I'm just going to quickly go through that. On these slides, you can hover over and watch and try out Tai Chi if you haven't. There's a couple of slides here with yoga. This one, if you've ever wanted to try yoga and you haven't tried it, this is a great beginner. It's only like 10 minutes long. Super quick, easy, beginner, get you started with yoga. Or you can try laughter yoga. I just love this one. And again, it's only 11 minutes long. So check out laughter yoga. Pilates. I put this screen in here because I feel like Pilates is important for everyone to do at least once. If you can identify your core and know how to strengthen it and know how to engage it, then when you move out your limbs, your arms and your legs, doing dancing, Tai Chi, yoga, whatever, bending over to pick up a pen off the floor, you probably won't get hurt if you do it from a place of understanding the core. So I've added this in, which I did a fundraiser, and 2 friends, the 3 of us took a class and gave an hour-long class. And Deb did this class, which is a Pilates yoga blend. So I'm going to hope that you do this class. The beginning is a little bit about the fundraiser. You can just skip through that. And then my other friend Louise did the class about breathing in times of COVID, or just breath work. And we're not going to watch this now. I encourage you to watch it during the week. But right now we are going to do an activity from this. So I'm going to have everybody stand up. Oops. Let me try that again. All right. And you're going to breathe with your arms above your head and keep your arms up. Exhale, bring your shoulders down. Inhale and feel your ribs get big. Exhale and hum down. Do that again. Inhale up. Exhale down with a hum. Inhale up. Exhale the shoulders down. Inhale the ribs wide. Exhale and hum down. And then while you're standing up, we're going to do a little bit of activating the vagus nerve through our hum. So hold your tongue gently between your teeth. Take a deep breath in through your nose, exhale through your mouth so that you feel a vibration in the back of your throat. And you're going to continue to do this. I think everybody's muted. I can mute you if you're not, don't worry. So I'm going to ask everybody to really get noisy with your exhale. Continue to do this kind of breathing and tell your body, I am safe. Everything is okay. Continue this breathing and tell your soul, I am loving awareness. You can do this anytime for about 2 to 3 minutes. Right now, we're going to move right into something called Qigong shaking. So take your tongue out from between your teeth and shake your hands out. Shake them out so that it feels like you don't have wrists. Shake your arms right out of your shoulders. And then start bouncing on the back of your heels and let the back of your head relax. Inhale through your nose and a big sound coming out. Continue to do this and just imagine that you're allowing stress to come out. You're allowing it to pour out. And be cleansed in the air around you. Don't worry about where it goes. It's being cleansed. I like to do Qigong shaking until I feel better. You can continue to do this. You're on mute. I won't hear you. We won't hear each other. If you want to continue, you can. This slide that's on here, you're going to get on your slideshow. So if you want something to follow, to remember, you can just start this video and watch Lee Holden do Qigong shaking up in the mountains. So Alexander technique is it's a mind-body way of getting stress out of your body. So with Alexander technique, you think about your head as a helium balloon lifting. You try that right now, lifting out of your body. And your body is the string hanging down. And if you think about your energetic body running through your physical body, pulling up out of the top of your head, pulling down your spine, down your legs, out the bottom of your feet, and pulling you like softening taffy. And invite in this feeling of lengthening. And also the energetic body going through your midline is pulling out through the shoulders and the ribs and the hips. And we invite in widening. Feel that, yeah? And then another Alexander technique word besides lengthening and widening is undo. So right now, tune into some place in your body that maybe you tend to hold tension, maybe you have tension right now. And we give our body a lot of unconscious messages to do things, to hold tension, to express our feelings. So right now we're going to give a conscious message to this part of the body that we're tuning into. We're going to give a conscious message to just be, to undo, to unravel, unwind, let down, relax. And you might actually feel something happen after a while when you tune in like that. Sometimes I've felt like cogs of a wheel going click, 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 or shaking, or softening, letting down. And just let whatever happens happen. Let that undo experience happen. And when you have an experience, name it undo or undoing. And what that does is it starts to form a neural network system between the word and the experience, so that after practicing this for a while, you can use the word undo to call up the experience. And I suggest that you try this when you're in bed about to go to sleep. Pick a place in your body and give it that message. Undo, unwind, unravel, just be. Okay? If you try it every night, you let me know next week how it went for you. Okay? So again, there's a video here that you can hover over and get a lot more information and ways of being in your body that are based on Alexander technique. It's only 9.5 minutes long, so sometime this week, take a look at it. And now we come to another psychological function, which is the need, impulse, desire. If we ask ourselves, what do I need? What do I desire? We're going to probably figure out a way to release stress. So when I ask this question, sometimes I get the answer, play. I need play. I desire play. If that's on your list, then you may want to watch this video about playfulness and passion. And again, it's not that long. It's 12.5 minutes long. Another thing on my list is sleep. Richard, you look like you're ready for a nap. And Dan was saying he was tired. And, you know, we all have a need for sleep. Some of us have an issue with sleep. I have an issue with sleep. I don't always sleep as much as I probably should or want to. So if you are in that boat, there's a 2.5 minute video that you could try before you go to bed. Do some acupressure points, and it's not a talk kind of thing. It's just to look and do it along with her. So what we've done today is we've talked about moving stress through the physical body, right? These are the things that we went over. You may want to add them to your list. You may have other things on your list. And the thing that I'm hoping that you'll also add to your list is sometimes what we need is just to rest. Sometimes what we need is just to be. And sometimes what's left over is grief. And so that I want you to add that to your list. So when you look at your list like, oh, I'm feeling stressed, what could I do? I'm going to look at my list. These things are on your list. And it'll remind you. So these are the things on my list. What's on your list? Keep adding to it. So right now, I'm going to be better with the breakout rooms this time. We're going to take a little breakout with each other. And again, use your format. Thank you for sharing. My name is, I'm zooming in from. And if you could share what you're going to do later today to release stress, that would be super great. One day you're going to listen to each other. Just give each other a minimum of 5 minutes to listen. Just listen. Practice your listening skills. And one day you're going to choose some form of dance or Tai Chi, some kind of movement, and you can choose what it is together. You can use something off the videos, off the slides, or different. One day you're going to try some form of yoga or Pilates. You might want to do this on your own, but one day you're going to do it together. One day you're going to do that breath workshop, which is a full hour. So you're going to want an hour for that one. One day I'd like you to watch that Alexander technique video together. That's about 10 minutes. And one day you're going to watch the playfulness and passion video. Also do things on your own. But those are the things you're going to do with your partner. Okay? Here it might be clearer for you to see it in this format. Listen, dance or Tai Chi, yoga or Pilates, breath workshop, Alexander technique video, playfulness and passion video. I can do that. I can send an email to everyone with all of our emails showing.
That'd be great.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
And usually when I send things out, you'll get it and it's to our group, but I'll send out that email to all the separate emails so that you'll have the emails, yeah? All right, so in closing, this will be our traditional way of closing. I want to offer us a way to open our hearts and feel love for each other. And you can either keep your candle lit or blow out your candle and let grief set aside for a moment. Or you can keep that candle lit if you want to have a space that you can always put your grief, you'll have that candle. Okay? And we're gonna unmute and say every loving thing that you want to everybody in their little squares on your screen. Send that love out right now, all at once, like a chaotic love fest. Ready? Go. Oh,
I'm
love
so
you,
happy
Allie,
to
so
meet
much.
you.
So nice.
Love you, Jungul. So
So
happy to
glad
see
to
you.
be with you.
Love you, Nancy.
Appreciated your share, Richard.
Love you,
Love you,
Remy.
Ami.
Love you, Jonas.
Lynette.
Love you,
Appreciated you
Richard.
talking
I
Good
about
to
do
your
meet
love
You're in the
you.
group,
baby.
Remy.
I love you, Ami.
Share the space.
Welcome,
Love you,
Jungle.
Remy.
Love you, Kathy.
Love you,
Love you all again
Nancy.
soon.
So nice to meet you, Jonas.
Good
Nice
joy.
to meet you, Richard.
Likewise.
All right,
Nice
we'll
to
come.
see you, Ami.
We'll come back. We'll come back together as a group next week. Have a
Great.
wonderful week. Love you all.
See you folks.
See you then. Bye.
Ciao.